welcome to Dynasty the Podcast Show. I am yours, Ira Thomas Bush the fourth. Unfortunately, the studio is being used, so we're gonna do it in the public. We're in the lab, but we're gonna do it in the public. So y'all be mindful. People gonna be walking by. People might say, "Tone it down, not talk too loud." But we're gonna try to keep it as calm as possible, while do a very special and great show. So I just want to say, I just want to be thankful for these. Anytime I can be able to speak in public. Thank you for listening. You know, I, you know, I'm always for people who want to create for themselves. So I have to continue to stay, consistent and positive about anything I put out there. Um, one of the most positive things that, and right now that's going on with me is that I'm in Washington D.C. and I think it's always an underlining. It's never cracked up or seeming. When people are locals, it's never like it's never that energy of being new or being in a different place. I'm in that energy of being new and being in a different place, so I'm excited. And like I told y'all, leading up to this, doing my show, this is the realm that I was going to operate in for the time being as an adult. When they took me out of coaching in Florida, because somebody, white supremacist group, was jealous and envious of my, basically my prestige as a coach and, my actual abilities as a coach. They were jealous of that. So, they tried to uproot me from the school boards, make up stories and lies about who I am as a person. So, that's one of the main reasons why I shift into the highest gear of what my capabilities of as a motivator, as a coach, and and we here now. I went down to the Senate office. I know I'm speaking on that. I like to, I'm not making fun of them. I'm just letting them know I'm here and I've arrived, and I kind of know what y'all jobs are. So I'm here every day, seeing what y'all got going on. I went early. There was no one there. They didn't have no hearings, no meetings set up. They probably got stuff going on right now. People was coming in when I was leaving. I'm gonna go check through. I'm gonna go sign in, and I'm gonna take things for what they are. I'm not here to I'm here to work with people, not here to like cause division. And that's what we have. That's in authority. They want division, and I don't want that message of me as seeming like I want to be divisive. That's not what I came here for. I came here to work with people. Like I said, people have stopped my opportunities. I don't know if it's from here or it's actually from Florida. It could. Those are the only two places that they can even stop me from. These are the places that connect. Me as a United States citizen. So you stop me in Florida. You can't stop me in Washington D.C. So that's why we're here. Let's continue. All right, today we're gonna really break down stuff. And the shout out to my parents. My mother. My father who was a Senate. My grandparents. You know, shout out to them. My child Anaya, and my nieces and nephew Imari Harmony, and the rest of my nieces and nephews as well, and my sisters as well. Those are people that have helped me push me to this point. To make sure I'm staying on top of my what I put out for myself to do. Now, that being said, today I'm going to speak. I'm not going to really talk about a lot of sports anymore. That now that I'm at this destination, and what I'm trying to accomplish in life, it's going to be a lot of political situations and talks that I want to be speaking on. And today we're going to talk about, I'm gonna give y'all some history. Okay, I'm gonna give you a keyword, and then I'm gonna give you some history points on what we don't need to repeat. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna talk about that. And today's keyword, I wrote it down, is persistence. Persistence is firm or abstain abs, abstinence, a continuous and course of action, spite of difficulty of the opposition. So whatever is in your way, don't stop. That's what persistence means. And I probably said that before. I probably gave that a keyword before, or spoke on that word. But don't give up. And let's continue what I was trying to say. Today we're going to talk about what started World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War. The reason why I want to give you these points and give you these facts that they put out is because someone's trying to start a war right now. And I don't think it's not that we're not good on the out outskirts of United States of America. It's the fact that we're not as strong interior wise in the United States of America. And that was what the basis of us creating having these wars. We were already strong interiorly. We never recovered from us being spaced out. Once you create a war, there's never the other side is never okay with what you did to their country. And that's my message. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm speaking about this thing. I don't care what they put, what football game, basketball game, food, museum, whatever they putting up to distract you from the main thing, which is preparation, which is being obedient, which is being at a level that you have to protect your family first, which is what I have an issue with because they found how to attack families without people, without it being physical. And I have an issue with that, and I'm more on the side where I'm gonna be aggressive towards both in a positive manner. I'm gonna try my best not to be physically attacking anybody. I'm gonna try my best to not spiritually attack anybody or even stop them from their resources and what they supposed to, what they work hard for to obtain. And that's not my job and my objective. So we're gonna speak on these things. I'm not trying to create no tension over here, but I will give y'all a real history lesson on what caused these wars, and it's still probably an issue in these certain countries. And we have to keep our head on the swivel on all levels. We can't start wars in 5 different countries, and that's what the main thing is. These are big countries. There's people already over here, so you're already infiltrated. And then there's so many deals you've done, you haven't even corrected the systematic thing. What you started off is, which is having enslaving black and native descendant people that were already on this land with the British and with the whatever European countries came over here that have stated claim and put their history over the native people. The truth has to come out. You can't lie. You can't create war. You can't go over here and tell people they can't get a wife from Africa and you have a wife from a completely different country and you have an issue. You know what I'm saying? That's the issue right there. You can't tell people what they can and can't do. You can't treat people differently for these things. And that's what we're gonna bring it to what the problem is. And the crazy thing is the actual fact that we started a war, they're trying to start a war, um is that we don't need to have a war. You know what I'm saying? It's actually a straw man story that they're starting a war. The thing we're going to talk about tomorrow is those 8 million pages, those 3 million documents, and we're going to start talking about pedophilia and the history of pedophilia. And we're going to bring back up the Catholic churches, the Christianity churches. There's actually a museum in Washington D.C. where I seen walking when I was walking from the Senate office. It's like it was like the history of the Bible or something. So I ain't trying to pay no money to go walk into the Capitol. They got like a Capitol visitors. I'm not paying no money. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna do reporting, do my reporting. I ain't trying to pay no money for that. So if they paying me, they trying to make me pay to go visit the Capitol, they out their mind. And same thing with all these museums. I'm not trying to pay no money to go into these museums. I'm a historic figure already. I'm from this land. You can't tell me to go pay you to go in any of these buildings. I don't know what the Constitution was created and designed for, but if I'm from this land, you can't tell me to pay to go visit none of these places. That's outrageous, out mine. They already got, they already over there with security guards, and I'm not hating on nobody getting paid because I see it's a lot of color, and I feel like they gonna do their job when it comes down to it. They know who's trying to make new rules on top of old rules and not even correct the old rules. So hopefully they figuring that out. The fact that they working for these people and they have to protect these people, which unfortunately that's just how they trying to design it. That's just a little tip, a heads up. Now let's go right into it. Stop. Topic 1. Okay, we're gonna go right into it. What started World War One? Now this is funny when I talk about, they always said, you know, a lot of the stuff that, when you're younger, you get as a man, the female that you want to have children from or marry, there's like a war between that. It's a you gotta fight for that right kind of, and that's basically what World War One. This is what the history of America tell you, that World War One was started because basically a female, whoever's wife had an issue with the other country, and we're gonna tell it to. I'm gonna read it to you how they telling it to me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's read it out loud. Um, due to okay, the murder of Australian heir to the throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and his wife by the nationalist Gavrilo Princip of Sarajevo, triggered a global armed conflict, the First World War. So whatever it was involving him and his wife. There was Australian hair. He got murdered, and and this is what happened. Continue. The Australia, Hungary, and Serbia responsible for the murder. They were responsible for the murder, ultimately declaring war on the country. Russia intervened by initiating a general mobilization, resulting in Germany also taking decision to mobilize. Within a few weeks, the World War was inevitable. That's what they wrote. That's the story that they told. You know what I'm saying? I don't know exactly. I wasn't born in the 1914. I wasn't born in 1914, unfortunately. But that's the story they told. Now, what it seems like, I'm born in the United States of America. So these are foreign countries that had these world war that started the world war. That's what they say. Now I'm almost guaranteed the fact that we are still involved in arms and control of weapons. That's why we are involved as far as United States of America. The main thing is we give guns and bombs to these countries and those countries, and unfortunately, that's just factual things. That's what happened when we were when the 2000, when we had the World Trade Center, and we had and they came over here and blew up United States right in our face. I was in fifth grade. You know what I'm saying? I was in elementary. We were just involved in arms deals, and they don't want to say it like that, but that's why they hit us. They were selling guns to this country and that country, and somebody's literally trying to do the same thing. And when you learn something of what not to do, you kind of don't need to go into that situation. They are already retaliated. They still trying to go over there in the Middle East and start wars. So, hopefully we don't have a situation where they, attack our capital direct or anything. I don't think that's going to ever happen. I think it's secure. It's a very far as internally, it's pretty secure here. You know, I think that's number one. But then you got to think about how many soldiers are going to be don't want to be at war. You know what I'm saying? They don't mind defending their turf, but they don't want to go to somewhere else, and then they got to come back home, and then we look at the bad guys. Especially if we actually win the war, you're gonna definitely look like the bad guy to somebody if you win these wars or these battles or whatever they calling them at the time. So that's just an example of World War One, how it was started. I just don't want history to repeat itself, so that's why we speaking on these things. Sorry about the noise. I'm not in the booth right now. I'm in the lab, but I'm not in the booth. Somebody came here. Once you get in the new territory, people want to act like they working hard. I haven't seen nothing coming from nobody that's in the public face of Washington D.C. It ain't blimped on my For You page and ain't blimped on my radar. So I don't know who's in there doing work, but hopefully you doing something more important than me while you in the booth. So not dissing you. So let's go. Those are the few countries that were firsthand involved that they reported that's historically reported that were first involved. It was Australian, and it was Russia and Great Britain. Okay. On the side, Germany, Hungary, European, and France and Great Britain. So those are the people that were first hand involved. That when stuff started probably started mobilizing, and then you got the Ukraine, which is basically Germany. I don't know what they hiding behind that. They still at war, and Russia and Germany and Ukraine, whatever they calling themselves, they still at war for a piece of rock. They ain't even got the resources. That's why they come over here stealing energy from people. And I could get into that, but I gotta study it more. I gotta go visit Africa. I gotta go visit. I don't want to visit Russia or Ukraine in no time soon, but I go over there somewhere in Europe where they studied it, and I'm gonna study it. I ain't got no rush to do it, but I just want them to not attack me spiritually. I don't want no problems with y'all. Y'all using energy. They steal energy and go and attack the people. This is one of their tactics. They'll steal energy, natural energy from your body, however they do it, however they study and learn, and they'll use it against you. They'll attack you in your dreams and your sleep, and they have a lot of say so over the food processing and all that stuff like that. So
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but you might have to turn your voice down just a little bit.
okay, I appreciate that. All right, but yeah, like I said, I was getting in my mode. I'm probably speaking too loud, but let's go right into the World War II. World War II began September 1st, 1939, when Nazi and Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, invaded Poland. So Germany invaded Poland. That's what started it. That's the invasion. Hitler's pretext for the invasion involved false flag operations and accusation of Polish persecution of ethnics in Germany, which was the Holocaust. You had to be blonde hair, blue eyes, or whatnot. But that's what's coming to light right now is them doing bone marrow. Um, they're ciphering energy from your bone marrows. The people of African descent, people who have rich bloodlines, and that's how they get their blue eyes. So they've been doing that for so long. It's coming to light. People are speaking on it. I'm speaking on it because once you tell me something, I'm gonna put it out in the atmosphere. I was just talking about it. I'm not really stunned because these people are not strong people. They walk around you all frail and weak, and then they still just all they want to do is feel comfort. All you got to do is actually date the person, stop trying to kill us and hang us from trees, and share your resources that you stole or give it back directly. It's like that simple at this in this point of the stages. So whatever they say. Okay, the other point was exponentialness of policies, expansionists of the policies. Germany desired to overturn the Treaty of Versailles, and expand the territory, led to previous punish aggressions such as the annex, annexation of Austria and Czechoslovakia. So they was trying to expand on territory. Hold on, I told you I'm in like a everybody area, so I'm not in the booth. So y'all be mindful, and I gotta keep it toned down. Um, it's still gonna be a great show. Like I said, I was very motivated today. Stuff worked out and paying out for me. So hey, might be people behind my back trying to still make fun of how I'm doing it, but it's not gonna discourage me. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna stop me. So I put my stats up all the time. So the motive, the third point that started World War II is the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, the non-aggressive agreement between Germany and the Soviet Union in August 1939 that allowed Hitler to invade Poland without fear of two-front wars. So basically, he had made an agreement with a country, which I'm pretty sure that he ended up having that agreement was annulled because they went against him anyways. Because they say they lost, but they were practicing scientific things to cipher energy. It was all kind of stuff on the underworld they were doing. That's why they were eating humans. All that stuff never gets talked about. You probably have to go there to figure all that stuff out, which they probably would never tell you directly. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of it's they came to there in the United States doing these, and the reason why they're able to cipher is because when they eat these organs and put organs in their body, that's how they connect to people like us. Like somebody in my family could get killed and one of their hearts could still be used or lick kidney, and then they're connected to me because they've killed one of my distant relatives that have the same genetic DNA as me, but they want to be connected to me, and it's improper things that they're doing. And I'm one of them people that they probably want to chop up and fucking use their heart and kidney. That's basically what I'm. The older I get, the more that I talk about these things. That's what it looks like. It is what it is. Hopefully, they get the message that I ain't here to like, snitch on you. I don't care as long as you don't attack my children or me, or my mother or my sisters, and talk about the same people over and over. It ain't gonna be like that. It ain't gonna be the outcome you want. So, me speaking on it is the me speaking out loud is me being nice. So I don't really care. That's my first line of defense. Everything else would be guerrilla tactics. Y'all already doing guerrilla tactics. So, now I'm trying to be more expansive about me speaking out. You know what I'm saying? I haven't spoken out really. So, hopefully y'all get the message. All right, let's go into the Vietnam War. And I talked about the Vietnam War, how it was ended. I'm, I'm not, me personally, I'm not the one who, you know, somebody out that's important to me. Their hands are all over stopping it and helping both sides and creating peace. So I ain't finna go there with you like act like I don't want that person to get they just do from wherever whatever Asian in Asia and Vietnam or in the United States. I want that person to get they just do for the time they're alive and well and they get their flowers. It's been very undermined and it's very disrespectful on both sides because they both still bickering about a white man that created it and an Asian man that went against Vietnam to make the whole thing messed up. So y'all got to get the people the respect that they supposed to get. And y'all know, shout out to my grandfather, Ira Thomas Bush Jr. I speak about him all the time now on Thread, so he's important. So that's this guy's gonna be. And let's go right into how it was started. Post World War II, the key reasons Vietnam began after World War II independent struggle against French colonial rule, escalating into Cold War proxy battle to stop the spread of communism in Southeast Asia. Decolonization and nationalism following World War II, Ho Chi Minh, the vet of me, fought to unite the Vietnam, defeating the French in 1954. I'm gonna let these, I'm gonna let the loud, I'm gonna let the noise go, and then I'm gonna continue. That's what happens. People are supposed to be quiet in the library, but I came here to use the resources for the right thing. I'm gonna wait. All right, we can continue. The other thing, Cold War proxy battle. The U.S. viewed the conflict as a struggle against international communists, pitting the U.S. back into South Vietnam against the Soviet Chinese support in North. The domino. I'm about to end it out here because I don't want, I don't know. See what her name is in my fucking phone? Her picture is? Wow. Damn. She did it when she came to see you. Whoa. 13, but I gotta get it fixed. I can't afford this one right now. She just dropped it. The domino theory, U.S. policymakers believe that Vietnam fell into communism surrounding countries Southeast Asia, which inevitably followed. The division of Vietnam, 1954. Well, y'all got the gist. There was a lot of division in Vietnam already. It's still division in Vietnam. That was what happened. They won one side, won against the other, which is how we infiltrated them. And if we tell the story from our standpoint, it was basically how we got money, but we got a lot of casualties from that war, and a lot of people didn't make it back because we wanted some money and we wanted to earn, and we was too involved in a very big part of Asia. So that's what ended up happening, and why we had those casualties, because we was minding somebody else's business. And that's basically what's going to happen if we keep going into Iran and to the Middle East trying to mind other people's business for money. All right. And that's it for that's just basically my history. I know it's people in the background trying to talk, so I'm gonna end it today, but tomorrow I'm gonna try my best to get here on time. They open this facility at 12 downstairs, so I don't know. I ain't really tripping about it too much. We got what we needed to speak on, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna do the executive orders that was in February that I didn't talk about. It's a lot of important stuff that they they want to have passed into law. So we're gonna speak on it tomorrow. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in to my show, Dynasty the Podcast Show. I'm your host, Ira Bush. I'll talk to y'all later, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.